Hello and welcome. Today we are going to discuss about constitutional design from your NCERT textbook class 9 Democratic Politics Part 1. We noted in the previous chapter that in a democracy the rulers are not free to do what they like. There are certain basic rules that the citizens and the government have to follow. All such rules together are called constitutions. As the supreme law of the country, the constitution determines the right of the citizens, the power of the government, and how the government should function. In these chapters, we will discuss and we will ask some basic questions about the constitutional design of a democracy. Why do we need a constitution? How are the constitution drawn up? Who designed them and in what ways? What are the values that serve the constitution in democratic state? Once a constitution is accepted, can we make changes later as required by the changing condition? One recent instances of examples of designing constitution for a democratic state is that of the South Africa. We begin this chapter by looking at what happens there and how the South African went about this task of designing their constitution. Then we return to how the Indian constitution was made, what its foundational values are, and how it provides a good framework for the conduct of citizens' life and that of the government. So let us begin. So Nelson Mandela, he was being tried for treason by the white South African government. He and 7 others later were sentenced to life imprisonment in 1964 for daring to oppose the apartheid regime in this country. What is apartheid? Apartheid was the name of the system of racial discrimination unique to South Africa. The apartheid system was particularly oppressive for the black. They were forbidden from living in white area. They could not work in white area only if they had a permit. Train, buses, taxis, hotel, hospitals, schools and colleges, libraries, cinema hall, theaters, beaches, swimming pool, then public toilets were all separate for the whites and black. This was called or known as segregation policy of the white regime in South Africa. Then, as we see, Nelson Mandela, he spent the next 28 years in South Africa, most dreaded or deadly prisons, Robben, that is in Robben Island. During this time, the white European imposed a system that is called apartheid system on South Africa. During the 17th and 18th centuries, the trading companies from Europe occupied it with arms and force in the way they occupy India. But unlike India, a large number of white had settled in South Africa and became the local rulers. The system of apartheid divided the people and labeled them on the basis of their skin color. The native people of South Africa are black in color. They make up about 3/4 of the population and well called blacks. Besides these two groups, there were people of mixed races who were called colors and people who migrated from India. The white rulers treated all non-white as inferiors. The non-white did not have the voting rights. Then, as we see from the slide, most ever efficient and first-sighted leader of the African National Congress fought against this apartheid system along with Nelson Mandela during this white South African government. Then they started a struggle against this apartheid system. During 18th and 19th century, Europe occupied South Africa, that is white people. They started settled there. they are applying the system of apartheid and dividing the country into three groups: white, black, and color. One that is migrated from Indian. Then since 1950, the black color and Indian fought against the apartheid system. They launched protest marches and strike, and then the African National Congress was the umbrella organization that led the struggle against the policies of this segregation. According to this segregation policy, forbidden from living in Y area, they could not work in Y area only if they had permit. Discriminated while using public properties. Black could not visit church while white worship from association and protest. So these include many workers union and communist party. Many sensitive whites also joined the African National Congress and then started to oppose apartheid and play a leading role in this struggle. Several countries denounced apartheid and condemned this apartheid system as unjust and racist, but the white racist government continued to rule by detaining, torturing, and killing thousands of black and colored people. So here is the picture, one of the picture. Protests, a protest procession was carried out. Protests increased, and the racist government realized that they could no longer keep the black under repressions. Then racist government changed their policies. Then discriminatory law were repealed. Ban on political parties and restriction on the media were lifted. Nelson Mandela was also released from jail after 28 years of imprisonment. To what a new constitution? Let's see. Next. As protests and struggle against apartheid has increased, the government realized that they could no longer keep the black under their rule through repression. The white regime changed its policies. Discriminatory law were repealed. Ban on political parties and restriction on media were lifted. And then finally, at the midnight of 26 April 1994, the new national flag of Republic of South Africa was unfurled, marking the newly born democracy in the world. The apartheid government came to an end, paving a way for the formation of a multi-racial government. How did this come about? Let us see and let us hear Mandela, the first president of this South Africa, on this extraordinary transition. I quote, "Historical enemies succeeded in the negotiating a peaceful transition from apartheid to democracy exactly because we were prepared to accept the inherent capacity for goodness in the others. My wish is that South Africans never give up on the belief in goodness, that they cherish that faith in human being is the cornerstone of our democracy." So that was the one of the speech delivered by the Mandela, the South African president, the first president of South Africa. After the emergence of the new democratic South Africa, black leaders appealed to fellow blacks to forgive white for their atrocities they have committed while in power. They say, "Let us build a new South Africa based on equality of all races and men and women, on democratic values, social justice, and human rights." The party that ruled through oppression and brutal killing and the party that led the freedom struggle sat together to draw up a common constitution. So here is a primer of South Africa. We, the people of South Africa, recognize the injustice of our past, honor those who suffer for justice and freedom in our land, respect those who have worked to build and develop our country, and believe that South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. We therefore, through our freely elected representative, adopt this constitution as a supreme law of the republic, therefore, here the past and establish the society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. So that was the story of the South African Constitution, which inspired democrats all over the world. A state denounced by the entire world till recently as the most undemocratic one is now seen as a model of democracy. What made these changes possible was the determination of the people of South Africa to work together to transform bitter experiences into the binding glue of a rainbow nation. Speaking on the South African Constitution, Mandela said. So that is the end of our discussion for today. In our next discussion, we will discuss why do we need a constitution and what are the makings of the Indian constitutions and the part 2 constitutions. So let us end our discussion for